And now, Move the Sticks with Daniel, Jeremiah, and Bucky Brooks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ and Buck with you. Buck, what is going on, man?
DJ, just trying to recover from March Madness. Just trying to recover from the craziness that ensues. I can't tell you that I'm completely heartbroken that Duke had a 19-point lead and somehow messed it up. I can't say that I'm heartbroken, but I can say that I'm very pleased that they're out too.
Yeah, you're okay with that. That was insane. I gave up. I saw the score. I didn't even turn it on. And then my son called me and he was like, "Did you see the end of that game?" And I'm like, "Did they make it close?" He's like, "They won." I'm like, "What?" And then I saw the replays. What an incredible play at the end of the game. And then the Grant Hill cutaway, as a North Carolina fan, that had to be the sweetest part of that whole thing. Did you see the camera on the booth or the on the broadcast?
Yeah.
He looked like he saw
it. Look. I mean, just all of it. Now, I will say this. I feel bad for them because they've had a ton of good players that have come through there. They haven't been able to get it done. But I think it speaks to the challenge of winning a championship in that format. It is hard to win 6 games in a single elimination tournament when there's so much pressure on it. Kudos to UConn and the other teams that are in the 4. It is just a very hard tournament to win.
Yeah, no doubt. That was incredible, and we'll see what the Final Four looks like. Your Dodgers are 3-0, our Padres are 1-2, but we got our win now. We got all that pressure off. Now we can just lock in and get focused and get on a little bit of a roll here, Buck.
The only thing that I'm excited about, DJ, full disclosure, I've never purchased a jersey. I don't have a Dodgers jersey anywhere in the closet, but I think I may have to pull out the number 3. I think Diaz may get me. I think the little trumpet and everything, I think it's my favorite little thing. If I could put a ringtone, I think it's my thing. I'm kind of feeling it. I'm digging it. I like it.
First of all, Mason Miller has a better entrance. You saw that when he came in. Mason Miller is a better pitcher. And also this whole having music come in for closers, you know where that started, right? That was Trevor Hoffman with Hell's Bells. He was the first one that did that. He launched this whole new craze. And the Dodgers, and they're just so boring and uncreative. Like, let's just do the same exact thing that the Mets did with him. Let's just copy the exact same thing because we don't have any original thoughts. So let's just bring him in here and then half the Dodger fans are already at the stadium at that point in time anyways. All right, let's get to some football here because I want to have a conversation with you. I was going to talk about some pro days, but I want to hit something else first. We've had the discussion in the past. I want to see if anything's changed with you, and we kick it around a little bit. But I want to go through a few positions and see what are the non-negotiables. Because during this time of year, I don't know where you are. You're doing the top 5s, and I'm got to pump out the last top 150, which is coming up here in a couple weeks. And so as I get later down, and it's like this in the draft room. You got a lot of identically graded players. So within the positions, when you have players that are graded the same, I want to talk about what do you think a non-negotiable would be in that, in terms of like this player has this strength versus that weakness, and that's why I'm going to give this person a nod at the same grade. Is that cool? All right, let's start. I want to start on the perimeter of the field here. So let's start with the wide receiver position. Buck, give me the non-negotiable, like gotta have it for you at the wide receiver position.
Well, look, I think first things first, like ball skills, hand-eye coordination, they got to be able to catch the ball. Like that's the nature, that's the job description. You got to be able to catch it. And then for me, DJ, the thing that we've talked about of late, however you want to describe it, contact balance, run after catch, your ability to break tackles, to put pressure on the defense when the ball is in your hands, to me, that is an essential. You have to be able to take these short passes and potentially make big gains out of them. I want someone who is physical enough to make the first guy miss and has some physicality and toughness to him that we can lean on him.
So I'm going to summarize you on a couple things there. Then I think we're going to be at a lot of the same things here. Hands and rack were the two of what I took from what you just said is like two things, tangible things you can look at. And then that ties in with my two things, which were competitiveness and toughness. Like I'm going to lean towards those tougher guys. You said the same thing as you're kind of going through your answer there. To me, I think those are kind of some tiebreakers where I'm going to say this guy's 4.37. That's fine. My guy's 4.52, but my guy's tougher. He's more competitive. maybe more run after catch, like you're talking about, more just reliable, strong hands, attacks the ball. Like I don't know, it's kind of like when you see it, but there's an intensity, there's a focus that goes into guys who catch the ball really well and who also are really tough.
Yeah, but I think toughness has to be a part of everything that we're talking about. We can be a championship team. We got to operate at a high level of toughness. And for those guys on the perimeter, if you're not a 1, 2, or 3, you have to be able to contribute on special teams. And so that physicality and toughness, all of that, that is a big part of being a special teams contributor.
That's what elevates the floor. Let's go to the corner position.
It's weird to say this, but now I'm moving to the fact that I want someone with a complete toolbox. I used to be a bump and run corner. I wanted to be able to get nose to nose, snuff them out. I'm moving away from that, and I would like someone that they can do that, but I want them to be able to play off in space and key the quarterback, play man and zone, and utilize a few different techniques. So a full toolbox, and then tackling has to be, man. If it's not one of the top 2 or 3 traits that you have to have, it's going to be hard for you to play on a defense that I want. You have to be able to tackle in space right now. The days of the cover corner where I don't get involved in the tackling in the run game, you can't play with those guys. You have to be able to tackle on the perimeter.
Yep, that's one of mine too. So you've got the full toolbox and tackling. I wrote down tackling and then trust, like trust in terms of trust in your eyes. Guys who there's no hesitation. They see it. They play with excellent eyes and vision, and they just trust it. They're not on their heels. You see it, you pull the trigger and you go. And that can be in a run fit. That could be in breaking on a route in front of you. And I'm willing, I think, to live with maybe a boo-boo here or there with that, Buck. But if you're always playing on your heels and so conservative, like we're just going to give up a ton of catches and a ton of yards, like at some point in time, you got to trust your eyes.
Yeah, so you're talking about someone that is aggressive mentality in
Yeah.
terms of when I see it, I'm gonna go get it, and then aggressive in terms of their physicality. When they do come up and make those plays, they're gonna put some wood on the receiver or the ball carrier because they're not afraid to engage.
Yeah. I mean, no, without question. All right, let's go. I want to rip through a couple more positions here. Let's go to the safety position. Stay on the secondary there.
Mm. The safety position is so unique, but I would say this: I would love, in a perfect world, he needs to be a safety with corner-like feet, but a linebacker's mentality. I need to be able to drop him in the box, and he needs to be able to, at a minimum, cover the tight end in man to man. And then in the run game, he has to be able to be comfortable playing in the box and making tackles. So cover corner, like feet on the tight end, and then in the box, you have to be okay dealing with the noise.
I like that. I wrote down cornerback feet and linebacker mentality. I like that a lot. For me, I'll go back to this is the old tried and true. We've talked about it before, but the Belichick one is you can't win with dumb safety. So I'll start first, like my non-negotiable intelligence, like communication intelligence. I think that's of the utmost importance. So I'll put down smarts, which can be hard for us to get that info on this side of it as opposed to being with the team, but you try and dig. But the other thing, for safeties, I like smarts, and then I also just like a little splash. Like so. Whether or not you're providing that with plays on the ball, whether you're providing with a physical, hit here or there, or whether it's even just like energy. I just think like a lot of the best safeties, the ones that I've been around Ed and I've been around Derwin. Those are probably the best two that I've been around. Like I would say energy would be towards the top of the list of their tools.
Yeah, no, they bring it every day, and it's one of the things, and I know better because you talk about IQ. I would add to the smarts, communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in the back has to be able to serve as the traffic cop. If you have two, great, but you have to have at least one that can see everything that's going on and communicate and get everybody right. They're one person, and DJ, he may be a lesser talented player, may not have the skill, but somebody in the secondary has to be able to line everybody up, get us on the same page, and make sure we're all playing the right call, on top of being someone that is smart and can do it. But the communication skills are underrated at that position.
All right, let's go to how about the tight end position, Buck?
Uh, if it's a true wide tight end, I need them to be half offensive tackle, half wide receiver. Like George Kittle is the perfect one. I need them to be a threat as a wide receiver to catch the ball down the field. but more importantly, I need to be able to run behind them. I can't avoid them. I can't have a jumbo wide receiver playing the position. If I'm getting a true tight end, he has to be a factor blocking, and he also has to be able to at least be more than a little check down option over the middle of the field.
If we're in the draft room right now, would we be splitting tight end into two positions?
I think we should. I think even when we look
I have a hard
at this
time
draft,
stacking these guys, Buck, because some of them are Fs and some of them are Ys. Like
so here's the funny thing. When I've been at every team, we've always had two tight ends. We had the Y, and then we had what we call the H or a move tight end.
yeah.
To me, some of these guys are move tight ends. So when we think about Eli Stowers, he's a move tight end. He's not a
Mhm.
traditional wide tight end. Um, even Kenyon Sadiq would strike me more as a move tight end, a H-back type, than more your traditional guy. The kid from Utah is a wide tight end to me, even though he lines up and plays in space. When I look at his size, his body, and the way that he plays, he's more of a traditional wide. We should split them because some of those guys are really jumbo slot receivers, while other guys are more of your traditional classic tight end.
Yeah, and teams use a little different they'll use different terminology on how they want to discuss that. When I was coming up through it, we always talked about H's and Y's, and just to me, it's like the totally different positions. Like some are glorified receivers and some are glorified tackles. So I will say I think it's harder to find the traditional Y hand in the ground tight end than it is to find the move guy.
Yeah, no, I think it is, and I think that the new hand in the ground guy would be someone like a Ty Warren from last year. I think he's
Mm.
the new version of a throwback wide, but when you watched him at Penn State, he was more of an H-back type. But to me, that is what the league is evolving to. He is more of the Y, and other guys that are your like Harold Fannin Jr. is more of
Mhm.
your H-back, your wide receiver masquerading at a tight end position.
Yeah, no, 100%. To me, I would just say if we're talking about Ys, I want people that can be firm in the run game and can stay attached. And if we're talking about move guys, I'm talking about guys who can separate and make things happen with the ball in their hands after the catch. All right, let's go through a couple more linebacker.
Mm. So if we're talking about your traditional off-ball linebacker, to me, it is the ability to dominate the box. Tackle to tackle, you got to be able to dominate the box, but then I also need you to be able to have range from numbers to numbers. We can talk about all that other stuff, but today's game, as much as I love the old school thumper, the enforcer, it's about speed and athleticism at that second level position. I need you to be control it when they're running at you, but I need you to be able to get to the perimeter when they throw those bubble screens and other things outside.
Yeah, I think a few years back we would have focused more on got to be able to cover. Like if you can't cover, you can't stay on the field, that linebacker position. Now I think some of the shift you're seeing guys, I think you got to be able to do multiple things. So I would say two of the three. You got to have two of the three skill sets. You got to be able to either rush a little bit off the edge or as a blitzer and be dynamic in that way. You got to be able to sort trash and play inside, or you got to be able to cover. Like I think you got to have two of those three. I think that's a non-negotiable. If you're limited to the point where you just do one of those three things well, that's hard.
Well, it's also hard to play because we're jumping in so many sub packages, nickels and dimes with so many like athletes on like sized athletes on the field. You better be able to be a factor in space. As much as I love the downhill thumper, I don't want to say they're going by the way of the dinosaur, but it's harder to play those guys if they can't give you anything in the passing game.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's go one more position here as we're ripping through this. Let's go to the edge rusher position.
Mm. It's tough. I am so partial to the athletic edge rusher. Um, I think first step quickness. Um, I would say closing burst, and then the last part, DJ, I'm gonna say competitive stamina because the motor has to run hot. And can you play at that high level for 4 quarters? And the only way you do that is you got to have the stamina to be able to last 60 minutes.
That's a good one. I'm going to go with like power. I'm just going to go with power. I think to me, when you look at those guys every year, even the guys who are the speed guys, I was talking to a coach about this the other day. And we were talking about speed versus power. And he said, so if you talk to the rushers, he was even referencing Von Miller. He was like, the speed is the show pitch. Like that, I'm just going to show you so you know you have to account for that. And now you know how far you got to kick out. And once you kick out, the majority of my wins are going to come getting you off balance with you getting out there and getting to you with power, or I'm going to be able to counter you inside. But like, that's a 1 out of 5 is speed. And that's just to make you have to account for it. But my wins, most of the wins in pass rush, looking at it, comes off of power somehow. Like you gotta, it's hard to be a consistent winner if that's not a part of your game.
Yeah, you have to have it. Like, it's funny, right? So he's rarely been talked about in the pre-draft discussion, but like Derek Moore from Michigan, and I have in my notes like just a bull rush specialist. Everything that
Mhm.
he does is off the power move. He's gonna stick that one arm right in the middle of your chest, and then he's gonna play off of that. And you're right. People will say this, oh, you got to have all these moves, but really you need three. You need a fastball, then you need a change and a curve. You need something to complement what your thing is, your go-to pitch is. You don't need a bunch of them, but you need to know how to set them up so you can get to the others.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that's it's fun just kind of look at this stuff as you're starting to stack these players. These things can come in handy as you're just saying, okay, I'm gonna lean towards this skill and not towards that one. But you got to come up with your own when you're doing it, when you're stacking these players. And every team, every evaluator is going to do it a little bit differently. But I do think that this was helpful for me, even as I'm kind of going through and trying to stack the back end of the top 150 here. I've done it with like Akis and Moore as power rushers. Then you get some more speed-oriented players that are kind of in that mix, and where do they slot in? So it does inform how you rank them.
No, and it also depends on what else do you have on your roster. I believe in having, we talk about basketball team at wide receiver. I think you want to have diversity amongst your pass rushers. You want to have a speed guy that can win. You want to have a power guy. You want to have someone inside that can be able to kind of be a bull in the china shop. But if you now, as the league is evolving and more people are doing it by committee, you want to have guys who have complementary skills.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Buck, you got to get going. You got path to the draft. We've got Mendoza's pro day coming up on Wednesday, so we'll be together for that thing. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
We will see you next time.
How about a little graphic? How about a little graphic right here that we have, the move the sticks
is that
thing
new?
with the
That
X's
is
and
new.
O's.
That
Yeah,
is nice.
that is new. We never had
Hopefully
that.
it's not a
It's always
parting
generic,
gift.
So
Hopefully it's not.
work.
Hopefully it's not a parting gift. All right, that's gonna do it for us. We'll see you next time right here on Move the Sticks.